We developed these forms for people to take and use how they will. They can opt their children out of whichever things they want. They can add some, take away. It's not a blanket thing, and so they're out there for everybody to use.
In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, we are taking a look at the crisis in the classroom. Some public school parents in Oklahoma say they don't want their child learning the new social studies standards.
Fox 25's David Chasanoff joins us live after learning a nonpartisan nonprofit just created an opt-out form for this. So, David, what does that look like?
Adam Wendy, a group called We Are Oklahoma Education, or WOKE for short, created this fill-in-the-blank opt-out template. How it works is you put your initial next to the material that you don't want your child learning in school.
In these standards, they champion the guidance that the Bible gave throughout American history.
I do want to make sure that my kids get alternate assignments when it comes to the things that are more ideologically or religious based.
Erica Watkins says she plans on filling out her group's opt-out form for her kids who go to Jenks Public Schools.
Especially because my kids are younger, it's extremely important to me that they're not taught authoritatively that a lot of these things are fact when these are not actually fact. These are different interpretations and different, beliefs that are religious based.
According to Watkins, parents have told her they're concerned about the new social studies standards, calling for high schoolers to investigate the 2020 election results.
A lot of people are not okay with their students being taught as if it was a fact, because it is not. It is propaganda.
State Superintendent Ryan Walters tells Fox 25 the waiver is absolutely not enforceable, calling Watkinson's group hyperpartisan, adding he believes they will never have the opportunity to indoctrinate Oklahoma students with a woke, divisive, and a radicalized agenda.
I actually hadn't heard that one. It's not really surprising. It is funny to me that he says that, because we still are parents, even though, he disagrees with us.
Walters tells Fox 25 if a parent wants to opt their child out of a certain lesson plan, they would need to provide their own form, or their child's school might have a form they can fill out. And he tells me this is strictly a process between the school and the parent and not a politically motivated organization. Though the parent tells me this is strictly a nonpartisan group. Reporting live, David Chasanoff, Fox 25 News.
Thank you, David. And today, 4 members recently appointed to the Oklahoma State Board of Education cleared the last step in their confirmation process.
Fox 25's Capitol reporter Paige Taylor tells us why the governor says they're needed to bring in a fresh perspective.
I declare the executive nomination to have been confirmed.
In February, Governor Stitt decided to shake up the Board of Education and replace 3 sitting members and announced these 3 people to take those seats, saying, quote, "It's time for some fresh eyes and a renewed focus on our top 10 goals," end quote. Earlier this month, Stitt announced he was also appointing Becky Carson to a seat on the board that has been vacant. The nominees have been attending board meetings and voting on agenda items, at times pushing back on State Superintendent Ryan Walters. Each nominee went before the Senate Education Committee earlier this month to field questions.
I think the state board is somewhat agnostic to to Superintendent Walters. The role of the board is to oversee the Department of Education and the things that happen there. So, to the extent he brings things to the board for review, we review those items, and it's our fiduciary role to use the knowledge and background we have to ask appropriate questions about those things and to make a determination if whatever that is in the best interest of all 4 million residents of the state.
Senators on the committee approved the nominees, sending their nominations to the Senate floor. On Tuesday afternoon, the Senate confirmed all 4 nominations. However, there were no votes for all of the nominees except for Becky Carson. Paige Taylor, Fox 25 News.
The terms for all 4 members who were confirmed by the Senate today will end on April 2nd of 2027.
U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide are being instructed to pause new student visa appointments. That is according to a diplomatic cable issued today by the U.S. State Department. The statement says officials are working to review and expand how it screens and vets applicants for visas. This includes the inspection of social media accounts, something the State Department already does for some students. However, an expansion of the effort could drastically slow the process. Critics say this is another move by the Trump administration to deter international students from going to U.S. colleges. Student visa appointments that had already been scheduled can still take place.
This isn't the first time student visas have been in the spotlight this year. According to the New York Times, thousands of students had their visas revoked or their legal status terminated last month. This impacted more than a dozen students at Oklahoma universities, including the University of Central Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and the University of Oklahoma. The Justice Department later restored student visa registrations after lawsuits were filed in several states.
Oklahoma City Public Schools Foundation asking for feedback to help their organization grow and improve. They've created a short survey aimed to better understand how they can serve our students. They say your response will help guide them on their work and ensure they're focusing on the efforts that matter most. And that was your big story breakdown tonight. You can learn more about those new opt-out forms for the social studies standards on OKCFox.com.
Plus, you head over to our YouTube page. Watch all of our previous big story breakdowns. Just scan the QR code on your screen or search OKC Fox.